We're now joined in studio by Palesa Mpapa. She's the Legal and Advocacy Manager at People Opposing Woman Abuse. Hello, Ms. Mpapa, and thank you for your time on the SABC News Desk.
Hi, and thanks for having me.
Palesa, very quickly, you've just heard the sentence imposed on Manana and his two co-accused. What's your reaction on that one?
Yeah, thank you very much. Our take as an organization is really that we've seen a lot of cases of this nature. We have complained that the criminal justice system is not really giving us what we feel we should get as women with regard to gender-based violence. But however, when you look at this trend, and based on also on the fact that the judgment that's been offered is based on the Criminal Procedure and Evidence Act, we feel that it has come time when the criminal procedure has got to be amended in as far as the sanctions are concerned of the criminal acts, because the intention of the law is really that they should deter potential perpetrators. But what we are saying is that they're getting sentences that
a soft sentence.
Soft
it doesn't
sentences,
really serve
they just
as much
pay
of a
and get away
deterrent.
with it, and it doesn't deter. People are still continuing to perpetrate, and they get sanctions where they just pay even an option of a fine and imprisonment of 8 months. It's really nothing. They go in and come back, and others are still continuing to do the same. So I think it calls for a reform, amendment of criminal procedure sanctions in as far as criminal acts are concerned.
And it does speak to the fact, Palesa, that we have a really strong constitution, definitely one of the better ones on the globe, that protects and enhances the rights and of women and children. But we're just not seeing the convictions or the number of convictions that we'd like to on this point.
Yeah, I think realistically South Africa is one of the good countries that has got a good legal framework.
Yes.
Our constitution is applauded in Africa, and even our national legislation in as far as gender-based violence is concerned, they're good. But however, violence is the highest. We're seeing it increasing on a daily basis, and then that in itself then says there's a lot that has to be done. And amongst others, like I'm saying, I think we need to look into the sanctions themselves for criminal offences, because they are low. Besides the fact that we also complain that the criminal justice system is also very insensitive. At times they give lower than it could be expected, because besides the current Manana's case, we also had the Oscar Pistorius cases where the judge gave way below the minimum sentence, yet it was a murder case. So we do need proper implementation of those laws and strengthening of the sanctions of other criminal matters like assault GBH. Because when you look at Manana's case, the offense was assault common, not assault GBH. So there was nothing more than what he gave that he could offer, because the procedure is not that he should go beyond even a year, because it's common assault. There were no serious wounds that were incurred by the survivors.
When it comes to the insensitivities that you're speaking of, we want to understand or get a sense of the stigma victims endured during cases like this, when it comes to treatment from the police services, psychologists, and even the courts.
I think from that point, our take is really that there's a lot of secondary victimizations that our survivors are experiencing in the criminal justice system. Because when you look at even the statistics, there's more that we would find on issues of silence. People are still not speaking out. There are a lot of cases that are never reported. People report after 5 years, after 2 years, after 3 years, and when you ask the reason, it's because they have lost confidence in the criminal justice. And this comes from what happened to their peer, what happened to their family members, and people that are very close to them. And also, at times you find they went to the service providers, but got a negative response that really discouraged them, and they couldn't go forward with the matter.
In your experience, Palesa, we're seeing such alarming rates of violence and crimes of this nature against women and children in the country. Why is there such an overriding, pervasive problem within the fabric of South African society?
That one is, it's really, I don't know whether other people say it's because South Africans are given ample rights. But however, I think my argument is that we have a good constitution, we have good laws. The one thing that has to happen is that our communities, our attitude, we have to ensure that I mean, the government and civil society also have to join hands to ensuring that as we put these laws in place, we also ensure that our attitudes run alongside those laws. Because we can't be saying women are supposed to be protected, the LGBTI sector has got the same rights as everybody else, but also not doing anything with regard to how we have been socialized, how our communities are tracing the cultural attitudes, you know, because there's a lot in where we're coming from, how we've been brought up, which actually goes against what the human rights aspects demand. So there's a lot that has to be done to address the attitudes of the people.
And the patriarchal attitudes.
Yes, those patriarchal attitudes from a very,
society.
very young age. So if that is not done, the laws are just there, we're expecting people to adhere to them. It's very, very difficult. Another thing is, whilst we see violence happen, what is it that we are doing in response as community, as the department, as law enforcement agencies, you know, as non-governmental organizations, what is it that we are doing when we see this? Because early in the year, we saw a lot of cases where the LGBTI sector was violated a lot. They were kidnapped, they were killed. There wasn't much in terms of the response to say these people still demand first-class citizenship rights. You know, they are not just people. They are people who have the same rights as everyone in the country. Look at how people living with disabilities are violated. It's as if they're not people that assume the same
You're talking
rights.
about the frequent hate crimes we're seeing in the country.
A lot of hate
and
crimes.
South Africa does not have a dedicated hate crime legislation as yet.
Yeah.
Why the delay around that, Palesa? Do you have any idea? Is it logistics? Is it a lack of political will?
I think it speaks to political will because the bill is already there. And while the bill is there, it means that, I mean, it rests on Parliament to finalize it and then assent it, and so that it passes as a law with legal force.
All right, quickly take us through your program for the month and how you plan to build and sustain momentum going forward.
Okay, thank you very much. As People Oppose Women Abuse, we actually started our campaign for the 16 days of activism on Sunday because we had our walkathon, which was hosted in Mofolo Park in partnership with SABC Foundation. From that, we're also hoping to launch a radio documentary on the rights of a lesbian girl. That will be hosting in the Val area. We documented stories of violence and discrimination experienced by a lesbian girl in our communities. This was subject to the launch that we did of violence experienced by a disabled girl in our communities. That one we launched it in the Ekurhuleni district around September. So pursuant to that, we'll also be doing presentations around the province of Gauteng. We are still available on our website. We are available, which is www.powa.co.za. We are available on call. We are also available on our Twitter handle, which is POWA_ZA. We are also available on Facebook for invites to come for any other outreach or campaigns that are done within the context of 16 days of activism.
Thank you, Palesa. That was Palesa Mpapa joining us from People Opposing Women Abuse on the SABC News Desk this afternoon. Let's move